Hello there everyone, it's Carol here. Welcome back. Simple tags using the journal kit, using the tag kits that I showed in a previous video that I was selling in my pop-up shop recently. Excuse me, I said that I would come back and show you some things that you could make with them. So these are the two separate kits. I'm going to put this one to the side for now, and I'm going to use this one. So I'm just going to put all these bits to one side, and then we'll see about making a bit of a start. So there's two other pieces of card as well. I'm going to put those to one side. So as I say, I just want to work on these for now. Because this card is all textured, I don't know whether you can see the leathered look texture on that. It's a bluey grey colour. I'm going to use my little mini distressing of weathered wood. Now I did try spraying, putting the ink on my mat and then spraying it with water and then just dabbing the card into the ink, but because the card is so thick and heavily woven, it wasn't picking up the colour very well. It was coming out more in horrible splodges. So I'm going to just very lightly rub this over the top, because where the indents are on the actual card, that won't absorb the actual ink itself. It's just highlighting the weathered look effect. So if you have a look, you can now see, if I put it that way on, you can now see where it's left the blank spaces where the indentations were on the card. So I'm going to leave that to one side, let that one dry for a minute. This next one, they're quite long, these, and I don't actually want them this long. So on this one, I'm going to fold this edge up to make a pocket, to make a slightly shorter tag. Now I'm not measuring, I'm just folding and creasing. What's that, 2 inches, 1, 2, yeah, about 2 inches deep. Do it to whatever size you want, and then I'm going to open it back up, because what I'd like to do is use some of these words. Now you could use a stamp and stamp some text on the background, but because I've got these pages in the kit, I'm going to use some of this, and I don't want just a line of text that it's just going to stop solid at the top. So I'm going to rip it and use what's there. I'm going to save that little bit that says Act 3, because I'm sure I can use that in something else. And then I can get all of that on there. So if I just rip down. Now I could have used my ruler to have got a slightly neater edge, but I don't want a neat edge, so that's why I'm just doing it by hand. And then I can sit that on there. That's where the crease is there, so I don't need it going beyond that point. So rip that bit off, and then I can stick that in place. I'm going to put glue on there. And then I'm just going to spread it around with my fingers a little bit, so that I know that I've got it over those edges. And then sit that on top. And it doesn't matter if it overhangs the edge. Just gives it a nice little bit of texture. And then I'm going to use my napkin. And it goes from blue through to this deep pink. So I think if I have the, maybe I ought to have the blue at the top. Yeah, I think we'll do that. And then again, I can rip this. And at the moment it's got all the layers on it, and I'll separate it shortly. And then about there, then I can separate these layers. Again, I'm just going to apply the glue quite liberally, and again just spread it about with my finger. Sit that on the top, and now that text is showing through the napkin, and it's got that hint of colour as well. And I'm going to put that one now off to the side and let that dry, and the cheesecloth. Now with this, again, I just want to dye this cheesecloth, so I'm going to put some ink on my silicone mat, and then I'm going to spray some water on it. And cheesecloth picks up the ink really quickly and easily, so I'm just going to dab that in and flip it over. I'm just doing down this one half for now, because I might find that I want a slightly plainer cheesecloth on another bit, and then I'm going to get my scissors and just cut that up the middle, and then I'll wait for this to dry. I would normally dry this with my heat tool, but I need a special plug and I haven't got one up here because I've got an American version which don't attach to our English plugs at all. So you need an attachment, of which I have purchased one. Don't know where it is, haven't found it yet. I packed it, don't know where it is. So I'm going to go and let that dry, and I'll be back in a little bit. What I've decided is that this is actually too long, I think, for what I want to create. So I'm going to chop about 1.5 inches off that bottom bit, and I can keep that for a pocket for later on if needs be. That's a better size. Okay, I've also got that spare bit of ripped paper, so I'm going to rip this other side, and I'm going to add that on as a long strip, and I'm just going to quickly ink up the edges a little, again with my weathered wood, so it keeps it all sort of tied in. And as I say, remember these are only suggestions. If you've got the kit, you can do with them as you wish. If you haven't got the kit and you're using your own materials, then they might be just a little bit of a suggestion as to what you can do with some of your own stash. So just quickly ink that up, and it now just keeps it all together colour wise, you know. You don't have to do it. And then I'm going to add a line of glue on the back. Well, I'll say a line, maybe 2, maybe 3. I'm a Libran. I don't know these things until I decide for definite, and even then that's debatable. Okay, I'm going to add that on there. Oh, I've done it a tad too long, that look. Let's rip that bit off. Alright, stick that somewhere safe. Then I'm going to get my cheesecloth, and this is a double layer here. This is the one that I inked up. Again, I just want to chop that down, it's a little bit too wide. Let's see how much I need. Yeah, about that. And then I can pull it and distort it a little. Do you know, it's been raining most of today. I come to film a video and the sun decides it wants to come out. And there, if I distort it, just makes it more interesting. Interesting. Fabric-Tac actually I'm going to use. And I'm going to put a line of Fabric-Tac down there, because it will just soak straight through the cheesecloth, but at least it will just hold it in place until I put the rest of the bits on top. Stay. Alright, bits of fabric. So what I want to do is I want to chop off. I'm just going to cut a long strip off each, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect. That one too. And then I'm going to cut some squares. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. It could be rectangles. Let's do 2 off each for now. And then I can place those on haphazardly, going down the tag. So maybe 4 bits. And they can be all be at different angles. And glue. Just put a little dab of glue on the back. Again, I'm not covering the whole thing with glue because it helps to make it more dimensional, because you've got those flappy little corners which add shadows. So we're going to start on the top of the button and then leave a tail. So this one's got 4 holes in it, so it needs a cross. And then bring it back through to the front. And then I'm going to knot it off with a double knot, which means I'm going to place the needle through the loop twice and then pull it in. And just trim off the little excess bits, and I'm going to use my glossy accents to just put a little dab of glue on each of those 4 spots, and then I'm going to get some sewing thread. I've got this dark blue so that it acts as a bit of a contrast. And then I'm going to put it in the palm of my hand and just scrunch it up. And there you go. Pull it out a bit. And then sit it on top of there. And then sit the button on top. Okay, next one. Let's do a pink one. So this is the faux stitched button because it's stitched but not stitched directly to the piece of card. Pull that through twice. Snip off the bits of excess. Get a bit of blue thread. Lightly roll it up in my hand. sit the button on top. I've just put that off to the side to dry. In the kit as well there was some seam binding, and so I want to colour some of this up. I don't want to colour it all blue though, so I'm just going to chop. I'm going to do half. Yeah, let's chop half of it off and keep half as the cream for now, because I can then do another colour with that in a moment. So because I want it blue, I'm going to use my weathered wood again. I'm going to put ink on my silicone mat and put some water on there, not too much, because then with this seam binding I'm just going to scrunch it up in my hand and wet it again, not so as it's saturated but so as it's all completely damp. Alright, so that's now completely damp, and then I'm going to scrunch it up so that it's all crinkly. It'll uncrinkle itself, but and then I can dab it all in the ink so that parts of it will pick up the colour and parts of it won't, and then I can spray it again, and the water will act as a capillary action so that the ink will spread along the actual seam binding. So I'm going to leave it at that so that some of it's cream and some of it's blue, and then I'm going to crinkle it up. And again, I would dry this with my heat tool. I haven't got it to hand, so I'm going to have to leave that out to the side and crinkle it up quite hard. I'm just going to leave that off to the side and let that dry. Okay, so here's my tag. I just want to put a few words on it, so these I'm adding as extra. Now you could use your Tim Holtz words, so you know, your small talk or your clipping stickers, but also on my Facebook group. So if you've purchased one of these, you'll be a member of the Facebook group. There are some free words in the file section, so you can print one of those off and utilise those. And whilst I like the black and the white ones, those two colours, black and white, they're too stark for on here. So I've chosen some from the clippings stickers. And I've chosen Peace, Happiness and Love. So I'm just going to peel that off. And in fact, do I want them popping up? No, I'm just going to leave them real tiny. So I'm going to chop off a piece. And happiness. Come back. There we go. And I'm also going to put some glue on the back, because even though they're sticky, oh sorry, wobbled the camera, I don't trust the sticky to stay sticky. Not that I've got trust issues or anything like that. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back, and then in between each of the positions of where the buttons are, I'm just going to put peace there. There's happiness. It's going to sit there. And you can use tweezers as well to hold these, because they're quite fiddly. Happiness. Oh, go on. Behave. Do as you're told. Am I the only one that talks to inanimate objects as though they're real things? Happiness. And love. And love. Peace, happiness, and love. I don't know why I keep saying that. Maybe because I'm weird. Alright. And then I want to just ink up around the edge. Just whilst I was waiting for my seam binding to dry, which has actually come out more grey than blue, I added a number up here, and I found a lesson 175, so I've added that at the bottom. And then I'm just going to get a sharp pointed pencil and just colour in a line at the side and at the bottom to just highlight them a little. You could use a black pen. There's all sorts of different highlighting colouring pencils that you can use, but I'm just thinking of those that might not have any of those pieces of equipment and stuff. And then I'm just going to get my seam binding, and what do I want to do? Yeah, we'll just clip that round for now. So form a loop, pop the loop through, open it up, pop the loose ends through the loop. Here we go, loop de loop, here we go, loop de lay. You watch, YouTube will check me up now on singing on my video. And then we'll just clip off. This isn't completely dry, so it's not crinkling very much. So I'm going to crinkle it up a little bit more when I get off camera. And I might also add, might I might just add a real thin strip of fabric. Pop that through the loop as well. Twist it round on the back. And then with my stapler, just put a little staple in the top. Clip those off at angles. Chop them down a bit more. And that's that first tag now done and dusted. So I'll give you a close up. Let's start at the top and work our way down. Doobie 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 doo. Doobie 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 doo. Doobie 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 doo. Okay, so with this one we folded at the bottom so that we can make a pocket out of that in a bit. We added a strip of the text paper, and then I added some of the paper napkin on top. I've then got a nail file, and I'm going to use the really sharp edge. Just going to run that along there, and it just starts to take off some of this excess. I've inked up around all the edges, again using that weathered wood, and I've done it around this outside pocket piece as well. And just before I glue it in place, as many of you know, if you are a regular viewer to my channel, I like to do some faux stitching, because I can't always be bothered to get my sewing machine out, but there is something, as I've said before many a time, there is something therapeutic for me about drawing a set of straightish lines. And they don't have to be straight, you know, doesn't matter if you've got a bit of a wobbly hand and you end up with a bit of a wobbly line. All just adds to the fun and the texture, and it looks as though you're meant to do it. So, you know, just go for it. Now I'm not going to do all the way up to the top, because this section's going to be covered over with either lace or ribbon or something. Okay, then I'm going to glue down my pocket, and I want just a thin line of glue along those two side edges. Flip that up, stay, and then that will just form a little pocket there. And then I thought about adding some of the paper that was in the pack, and I'm going to rip it. Rip it. Ink it up. Inky dinky do. Stick that on the pocket. And then I've got a couple of options for doing a bit of decorating on it. And then that can sit on there. Right. Now, I did think about just popping some fabric across the top and putting a button on and leaving it as simple as that. Or I've got this little oval which again was in the kit, and it extends beyond, and that's fine. And then I've got the two little flower buttons, so I thought that they could sit on there, and then I could have a word in the middle. I think I'm going to go with the fabric and the button for now, because I might want those later on, those little pearlised buttons. And we'll keep this fairly simple. So, fabric tack glue. Put a line of that there to just hold the fabric in place. And it's fraying a bit, is this fabric as well. That's fine. Again, it just adds nicely to the texture. Clip that off. And you'll notice I'm using different glues. And that's because each glue has been made for a different purpose. And some are stronger than others. I have actually got a video on glue, so if you type in YouTube search Carol Tinson and then glue, it will take you to the video where I talk about all the different glues, if you're wondering why I'm using so many different ones. I'm going to add this seam binding again, but this time I'm going to use what's left. So I'm going to leave it long, and I'm going to tie a bit of a bow. And then form a bow at the top. That's a real simple one. Looks really plain, but as I say, by the time you put another tag in there, so in fact, here's one I made with some of the scraps of fabric when I was having a play, and I've put the word believe on the pin and the heart tag, and I've used some strips of fabric on the top of that tag. So if I put that one inside of there, if it'll fit. Yes. See, it starts to all sort of come alive, and then we can call that one done as well. So again, give you a close-up from the top down to the bottom, and as I say, this little tag will pull out. That's those two tags done, and I've still got tons of stuff left over, but they're really simple and easy tags to do and look really pretty. So in the next video I'm going to show you some more tags to make with this kit, so that you can start to build up a nice little selection of tags to keep in your stash, ready to go into a journal. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks ever so much for joining me on this one today, and I'll see you in the next one really soon. Bye for now.